Bring in Blake Burman, Chief Washington Correspondent and moderator of The Hill. Blake, all right, you were still there in Tuscaloosa, the site of last night's debate. First, how are you feeling? Feeling good?
I got some sleep. I definitely got some caffeine in me, so I'm doing all right, Nichole. Thanks.
Feeling good. Let's start with RFK. At this point, before we even talk about, actually getting these votes, let's say he does. Since he is now a third-party candidate, does he pose more of a threat to Republicans, or does he pose more of a threat to our current president, the presumptive Democratic nominee?
Well, it's a great question, and let's start with this, as Elizabeth brought up. This is all set up for a two-party system, right? So the big question for RFK Jr. is about ballot access. Is he going to be able to get on the ballot? And if so, in how many states and where? I mean, just go back to 2016. Hillary Clinton blamed Jill Stein, right, as part of the reason for her loss to Donald Trump. Ask around this country right now how many people remember Jill Stein versus a Kennedy, right? So if he can get on the ballot in a lot of these states, then he can clearly shake things up. When you talk to folks, Nichole, as we often do on the Hill about this, they tend to think that if RFK Jr. is on the ballot, it would hurt Donald Trump potentially more than Joe Biden. Again, that is assuming at this point that it is going to be those two at the top of the ticket for each of the parties. But there's still a long way to go here. Are those two going to be at the top of the ticket? What states may he or may he, not be on? What's the support like there? But I mean, you look at the polling, it is very clear, Nichole, there is an enthusiasm gap, and I think it's fair to say on both sides of the party if it's a rematch of Trump versus Biden.
Oh, yeah, I'd say that's definitely fair to say. All right, so we know RFK certainly has that name recognition. It's hard to know who hasn't heard of the name Kennedy. The Super PAC is spending millions to try to get him on the ballot in these key states, but being on the ballot doesn't mean a lot if people don't check that box. So how does he actually get the votes?
I guess that's good old-fashioned campaigning, right? I mean, he clearly couldn't move up in a Democratic primary. And so he's made the decision, I got to get out. Kennedy says, I got to leave the Democratic Party, right? Got to get out. But the poll numbers are there for him. I mean, if he even gets a third, let's just say if he even gets a third of what the poll numbers are showing, and if he could get on ballots, then that would unquestionably shake up this race. I mean, look, there are some of his positions that pull from the left. There are some of his positions that pull from the right. That the latter part of that is part of the reason why he had trouble in a Democratic primary, at least one of the reasons. So if he is able to get on the ballot in a lot of these states, and if he's even able to pull just a fraction of, or get the votes of just a fraction of what he's polling at, it would certainly shake things up.
All right, Blake, you are in Tuscaloosa. We have to talk about the debate. You're caffeinated. You're ready to go. Do you think there was a clear winner and loser last night?
I always view that question through the lens of that's really viewed through the lens of your political beliefs, right? Like, if you believe that January 6th was an inside job, you might say Vivek Ramaswamy was the winner. If you believe that the government lied to us about 9/11, Vivek Ramaswamy might have been the winner to you, right? Like, that was part of his argument last night. I did, and then if you don't, obviously, you think he's way too far out there and way too extreme. I found it fascinating, though, Nichole, that at the very beginning, there was a very well and lengthy worded question to Ron DeSantis about electability. And what did he do? He spun it right on Nikki Haley and started attacking Nikki Haley, right? And so it was clear. I thought this going in, and it was clear at the very beginning that the target was Nikki Haley. And I think that says a lot about Nikki Haley, her rise over the last couple months, and how these candidates perceive her. So who won or lost last night, I don't know. I mean, that's how you view politics and what you believe. But I think it's undoubted at this point that her rise is there. It was noted. It was confronted last night. But again, you got to keep all of this in the caveat of they're all trailing Donald Trump by what, 40, 45, 50, depending on whatever poll you look at.
Yeah.
So, he is still well out front. And one of those who we saw last night, they're still trying to separate.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.